Thank you for joining us this morning. Foreign interference in Canada continues to pose a serious and persistent threat to our national security, our democratic institutions, and social cohesion. In today's press conference, we'll reveal the findings of an investigation into alleged corruption and sub-state capture. And it will expose another front with which foreign actors have been exploiting in Canada. And you will hear from the following experts in this order. Gary Clement, former RCMP Superintendent and National Director for the RCMP's Proceeds of Crime Program, and also author of Canada Under Siege. Dean Baxendale, an international columnist and CEO of Optimum Publishing International and the China Democracy Fund. The Honorable Wayne Easter, Canada's 40th Solicitor General, a role that in Cabinet today is known as the Minister of Public Safety, and who represented the riding of Malpeque on Prince Edward Island for 28 years as their Liberal Member of Parliament. Sam Cooper, an award-winning investigative journalist and founder of The Bureau, and Lieutenant General retired Christopher Coates, Director of Foreign Policy, National Defense, and National Security at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute, where I am also proudly a senior fellow. Now, before we hand it to Gary, it's important to highlight that today marks day 476 since Bill C-70 received royal assent. Bill C-70, an act respecting countering foreign interference, was passed during the previous Parliament, and it received royal assent on June 20th of 2024. In addition to modernizing CSIS and intelligence powers, it also introduced criminal offenses related to foreign interference and sabotage. Bill C-70 was also, though, meant to address a critical gap being exploited by shining a light into the shadows where operatives hide, and that is by creating a foreign agent registry. The United States has had one since 1938, and Australia since 2018. But nearly a year and a half after passing the required legislation, Canadians continue to wait for the federal government to act. Why? What's the reason for the delay? Parliament has done its job, and the creation of the registry is a simple order in council, something that can be done with the stroke of a pen. And yet we stand here 476 days later, still waiting. And now I turn the floor to Gary Clement.
Thank you very much, Kevin. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. This is a culmination of a two-year investigation. I want everybody to understand we didn't go looking for this. This investigation came to us. And what we found was money laundering, corruption, and elite capture at the highest levels. During our investigation, we had some brave citizens, islanders from Prince Edward Island that came forward and provided a depth of information that would provide for a law enforcement agency sufficient grounds to launch a criminal investigation. One of the things that we were able to look or ascertain was the amounts of money that was coming into the province was all in cash, consecutive $100 bills, brand new, in the amounts on a weekend of hundreds of thousands of dollars. This amounted to millions of dollars over the course of time that we looked into it over the number of years that the monastery, Bliss and Wisdom, has been operating in Prince Edward Island. We were able to establish that the monastery has set up a network of corporations. And if you look at it from a point of view of money laundering, it's what you would anticipate finding in an organized crime network. This monastery, if you look at it from a Dalai Lama's point of view, you would not anticipate finding corporations, land transfers, land flips, and citizens being paid under the table cash for residences and property. And that is what has happened in Prince Edward Island now for a period of a number of years, ever since the provincial nominee program came into existence and they were allowed in. The Master Jinyan, who came into the province, it is our belief from our investigation that he's tied directly back to the PLC, or the Communist Party in China. In my experience, having worked both in Asia and from 91 to 94, having collaborated with Sam Cooper and had hours of discussion with him over the many, many years, I can tell you my view is that the PRC government, the only way to describe it is that they are the largest transnational organized crime group in the history of the world.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning. Dean Baxendale. I find myself at this podium second time in a week. Last was with the Sikion from the government in exile in Tibet. So good morning, bonjour. Today I'm here to introduce, again, the investigation, Canada Under Siege, how Prince Edward Island became a forward operating base for the Chinese Communist Party. An investigation that really actually spans 5 years of research and intelligence gathering, and an 18-month to 2-year investigation that involved Gary Clement and Michelle Juno-Katsuya, the former chief of Asia Pacific. And it has a deep collaboration, including international and Canadian security experts, whistleblowers, eyewitnesses, religious experts, and consultation with multiple governments on multiple testimony on multiple continents. This investigation began with a question. How did Canada's smallest province become a strategic beachhead for foreign influence and interference and potentially corruption? At first, the story seemed local. Immigrant programs, real estate deals, religious organizations. But what we uncovered went far deeper. We followed the money. We followed the networks, and we followed the silence. What we found were clear signs of elite capture, failed oversight, and infiltration of Canadian institutions and political parties at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels by actors aligned with the Chinese Communist Party's United Front Works Department, the Ministry of State Security. In some cases, political donations have come from members of organized crime groups in our country and have certainly influenced political decision-making over the years. Our investigation and book and documentary document how religious organizations like this particular group, Listen Wisdom, may have been exploited for money laundering and ideological influence. How the provincial nominee program enabled rapid immigration pathways, often without sufficient due diligence or follow-up, and how federal investigations and local investigations into irregular cash flows, immigration fraud, and suspicious property deals were quietly shut down without accountability. We explore how a PEI hotel housed over 500 Chinese nationals, all allegedly trying to reclaim their $25,000 residency deposits, but they used a single hotel as their home address. The owners charged by the CBSA only to have the trial shut down by the federal government itself. We examined testimony linked to the movement of over $1 billion into Prince Edward Island and other provincial jurisdictions with tactics resembling the Vancouver model of transnational money laundering. This isn't just a book and about one province. It's about a system-wide failure to deter covert foreign operations and what happens when complacency meets strategy. Canada's democratic institutions are being tested, not with tanks or warplanes, but with capital, policy manipulation, and silence. A legal system complicit with turning a blind eye to improper and illegal practices. Today, we're calling for transparency, for national scrutiny, and most of all, for Canadians to wake up to the subtle siege underway. Thank you.